Hey, y'all, welcome back to the podcast. This is going to be a short and sweet podcast. I know I normally do like 45 minutes to an hour, but this is going to be a rant. So if this is your very first podcast that you've ever listened to me, you may never listen again, or I may become your favorite podcast. I don't really know. Not every episode's like this, but I did an Instagram live on this morning, and hopefully I hit on some of the same things that I talked about on my live because I was just fired the fuck up, let me tell you. And I'm going to do a reel on it. And I thought, you know what, Christina, just jump on your computer really quick and do a podcast on this because I think more people need to hear this. And perhaps it is for you. Perhaps it is for someone that you know. But I promise you, it doesn't matter if who you are, doesn't matter what industry that you're in, doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mom, doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, a founder, a CEO, whomever. You need to hear this podcast because I believe this from the bottom of my soul. So I'm going to get on a little bit of a tear here. My voice is going to spike with the excitement. My veins are going to pop out of my neck, and I'm going to need a lot of water after this podcast because I am so damn passionate about this. So let me set the stage for you. I was coming home from the gym this morning. I didn't start client calls until 9 o'clock, which for me, most of the time I started around 8 o'clock. So I had like an extra hour. I was on social media. I was going to do a post, and I have recently found this woman. She's actually really good at what she does. She sells a course to tell you how to grow your social media and how to make your first $10,000. So I hope I don't offend anyone, but I'm not a big fan of courses. And the only reason why I'm not a fan of courses, and I know tons of people have made tons of money on it. I mean, like the OG, Amy Porterfield, she's probably made millions and millions of dollars on courses. And I'm not slamming courses for, I don't fucking think that people actually follow through on courses. If you are a person who has followed through on a course, just know you're a fucking unicorn because very few people follow through on courses. Most people do not do a course, follow it through to the end. But the number one reason why I am not a course fan is because you could literally have, and this is what I did my live on this morning. This is what I'm going to do a reel on. I've already recorded it. I haven't put it out. I don't even know when this podcast is going to come out. But the reason why I don't love the idea of spending your money and your time on buying a course is because you could literally have a blueprint from the person who has made millions of dollars and a person who has hundreds of thousands of followers. But if you are a person who does not have the confidence and literally does not know how to articulate your message for whatever it is that you want to do. And I promise you, this podcast is not only for a person who's in sales. This podcast is not only for a person who has their own business. This is not a podcast for people who are just in the online space that I exist in. I am telling you, confidence is the number one thing for everything in life. And if you are a person who perhaps is buying a course online and you are not a person who has the confidence to take a course, take what they're telling you, and actually implement it, you are wasting your money. I promise you, this is a true statement. And I will go back and forth with anyone who wants to go back and forth on this because I could literally give you a business plan. I could give you what I do every single solitary day on how I book discovery calls, on how I sign clients, on how I monetize the things that I monetize. I can give you a plan on how we do this podcast. I can give you an actual blueprint. And I probably over the years, especially back in 2020, 2021, when everyone was buying everything on the internet and everyone was spending so much money, I could give you an actual blueprint of every single thing that I do. But the one thing that a course does not give you is the confidence and the ability to actually execute what you are told and what you are learning. And that, my friends, is confidence. And that, my friends, is getting over the blocks that you have, the stories that you have, the insecurities that you have, the whatever it is that you have that is preventing you from actually doing the thing. And the one other thing that courses don't have as well, like this woman that I was watching, you can't copy and paste someone's information word for word and just expect that it's going to work. You have to know what value you bring. You have to know what makes you unique. There is people out there, and I'm not saying this cocky, but there is people out there that would hire me over hiring Oprah. And why they would do that is because they resonate with me. And take this for the flip side. There is people out there that will hire you over hiring me because they resonate with you and who you are and your messaging. I offend a ton of people because I say God and I say fuck. I offend a lot of people because I believe in God and faith is a big part of my business. I have people that are attracted to me because of that. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to be confident in who you are, the message that you relate, and how you sell yourself. And that's another thing too. Sales is one of the most important things on this planet. And so many people have a problem with sales. Even just the other day, I was interviewing someone and she said, like, oh, I'm definitely not a salesperson. And, you know, the podcast wasn't about that. She's very successful. And it's funny because I almost wanted to stop her and be like, well, what do you mean you're not in sales? Like, what do you mean you're not in sales? I feel like we're all in sales in some regard. And this woman has a very big presence online. And she is monetizing herself. She is trying to get you to, like, quote unquote, buy what she is putting out online. So we're all in sales. And if you're not selling yourself, you are literally losing out, because that might be selling yourself in your corporate job. That might be selling yourself in your teaching job. That might be selling yourself at the PTA. That might be selling yourself to another person you want to be in a relationship, whatever. Like, sales is a part of everything in life. And I think sales has such a bad rap, but you should be selling yourself if you believe in what you do and who you are and the results that you provide. Even if you're selling yourself in a relationship, you should be able to sell yourself and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Like, what makes you stand out? Who are you? Why are you not telling people how great you are? Why are you not telling people what value that you can provide? What makes you stand out? Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But when I was looking at this woman's post this morning, and she was literally saying, like, these are the steps that I have taken to grow my Instagram following. These are the steps that I'm taking that I make at minimum. I think she said she makes a minimum of 10 sales on her social media a day, which is great. Like, that's amazing. I don't sell 10 things a day. But what she was saying was she was going to give you the blueprint. And the part that just irks me so much is that literally, I just told you I hated the course industry. And yet the course industry is like this $billion industry where people are buying courses all the time. But people do not have the confidence to actually take what they're learning in this course, in these courses, and implement it for themselves. And they're just not selling it. I could honestly tell you the people who probably are not making the money that they want to make in their business. So this is probably, you know, going towards a business owner or someone who's in the online space. I know have a lot of people who listen to this podcast that are starting their own business or have their own business or whatever it is. But like, people are not selling enough, period. End of story. I've been doing this 8 years, and I guarantee you, whether you realize it or not, if you follow me on social media, I am selling every single solitary day. I am constantly talking about the results that I get my clients. I am constantly talking about when I have open spots. I am constantly talking about getting on clarity calls, because that in itself is a sale as well. I know if I can help a person and if I can solve one problem in this person's life on a 30-minute call, chances are that person has a much likelier chance of buying something from me, whether it's signing on as a client or coming to one of my events or hiring me for a VIP day or a retreat or whatever it is. Like, I am always selling, and I am never afraid to sell, because I 100% from the bottom of my soul, believe in what I do. I believe with 100% certainty, if I can help you become more confident, and if I can help you get more clear, and if I can help you, enjoy the process more in your life, you will have a better life experience and you'll probably make more money. And that's my job, to help you enjoy your life and make more fucking money. Like, at the end of the day, that is what I do. And that is how I help people. You may not understand all of the bits and pieces of how I actually do it, but my job is to clearly tell you and sell you that if you want to enjoy your life and you want to make more money, you need to work with me. And I will tell you that and sell it all damn day. I can give you a blueprint of everything that I do and how I connect with my audience and how I've created community and how I do my back engine and how I send my contracts and the funnels that we have and all of that shit. But unless you have the confidence and the clarity and are willing to show up in spite of what so many people are afraid to do, you will not have the success. It's just that simple. Like, I guarantee you, there is so many people, I could tell them exactly what I do 7 days a week, how long I do it, exactly how I do it. And unless they are showing up with the confidence to actually do it, in spite of what their neighbor thinks, in spite of what their, mother thinks, in spite of what their coworkers think, in spite of how they feel about themselves, in spite of having a good day or a bad day, I guarantee you, you just won't have the success. So the whole point of this podcast, the whole point of my live this morning was to really tell you that, like, I promise you, there is nothing more important than building your confidence. There is nothing more important than figuring out what stories, patterns, and habits that you have that have gotten you to this place, and you have to reprogram to get to the place that you want to be. Because you can't sell something unless you're fucking selling something. You can't literally create what you want to create unless you're willing to do it when you don't want to do it, unless you're willing to do it in spite of what people think, unless you're willing to do it in spite of what you think about yourself. I always say, I really truly do believe confidence is built by taking actions and doing certain things. I just got off a discovery call with a woman where towards the end of the call, she's like, I need to think about this. And this is what I said to her. And I told her, I said, this is 100% a sales technique, but I truly do believe that this is my job as a coach, is to reflect back to you why you're in the position that you're in. She said, I need to think about it. I'm definitely an overthinker. And I said, how long have you been following me? And she said, about a year. I said, how long have you been listening to my podcast? She said, about the same amount of time. I said, well, what made you book this call today? She said, well, because I know I need to make a change and I think that you'd be able to help me. And I said, okay, so you don't need any more time to think about it, because you've clearly been thinking about this for like a year. Now, what you're doing today is you're taking action to get a different result. Thinking about things, you don't need to think about anything. You have been thinking about something for a whole entire year. Today, you have to make a different decision to get a different result. Now, if it's not me, which I obviously knew it was probably me due to the fact that she booked a call with me, but I said to her, I was like, literally, you don't need to think one more day, because you've been thinking about doing something different for a whole entire year. Today is the day that you're going to take a different action. And before we ever even have our first call, I guarantee you will feel much more confident about yourself, because you have taken a different action than you have over the last year. Because over the last year, all you've been doing is thinking you want a change. Today, you took your very first step to making a change. You made a different action. And every time you take an action, you change. I always tell people that, if you're whatever, it costs like, you can work with me as low as $500 a month. Like, literally, that is hardly any money over the course of a year if you're willing to make changes. And everyone can find a way to yes for that low of an investment. I know probably not everyone, but like, I always just believe that everyone can always figure things out. It is amazing to me what people can figure out if they truly want something. And I think that if you ask yourself that question, Have you ever wanted something so badly that you have always figured out a way to yes? And the answer is chances are you have. And I do believe that. I do believe that most people, let's use most people, can 100% find a way to yes for something that they want different. And I like literally on the call, she was like working out in her head what it would cost to work with me full time for like a whole entire year. She's like, I can do this, I can do this, I can probably do this. And she's like, it'll pay for itself. I was like, yes, the answer is yes. And by her doing that, by her even literally having that conversation with herself, I guarantee you, before she ever signed the contract, before she ever paid me a dime, she has become more of a confident human being. And here's the reason why: because she figured out a way to yes, to do something that she believed for a year, for 2 years, that she has not been taking any action on. She literally contemplated in 1 minute on the screen on how she can get something that she wants. Imagine if you had me working with you for a whole entire year and you did that for every single thing in your life. How much more confident would you be? How much more further along would you be? And that, you guys, does not come in a course. That does not come from reading something in a course. That comes from building your confidence. That comes from taking a different action. That comes from reprogramming the story that you had that, oh, I can't do that, into actually, let me find a way that I can do that. Let me find a way to yes. It is fucking amazing what a person can do. My favorite quote from all of the years that I've been doing podcasts, and I'll tell you, my husband now uses this all the time in his business and for himself personally. When failure is not an option, or pardon me, when quitting is not an option, everything else is. And when you are a person who figures out a way to yes for anything, when no is not an option and you have to find a way, it is fucking asinine how you can find a way. You know, I always think about mothers. Mothers are like these, obviously I'm not a mother. I work with a ton of mothers. I have a mother. You know, you're around mothers all the time. Mothers are the most insanely amazing people on the planet. They will fucking find a way to walk on water for their children. And yet they won't do it for themselves most of the time. If you harnessed that, I will fucking find a way for your children, if you harness that for yourself, oh my God, it is amazing what you could possibly do in this world. And I love getting to help a person become the type of person who finds a way to yes for everything. When no and when failure is not an option, everything else on the planet becomes an option. And you know, this whole podcast came about, my whole life came about today because I was just like, oh my God, I'm sick and tired of seeing a person buy a course and thinking that they're going to have this blueprint. The blueprint is fine. I always tell my clients it's mindset and strategy. Strategy is amazing. Strategy is a huge part of growing and scaling. Strategy is a huge part of business. Operations is massive. One of my clients is possibly having one of her biggest years to date because we are putting in strategies, we are putting in policies, we are putting in procedures, we are delegating, we're taking the strategy. But how it came about is her getting into the mindset of a CEO, her getting into the mindset of finding a way to yes, her getting into the mindset that she will literally succeed no matter what, and doing things the way that she was doing them is no longer an option. So if this is no longer an option, we've got to find a new option. And it is fucking amazing what happens when you decide that this is no longer an option. And so that was the reason why I wanted to even do this podcast. I know it was short and sweet, but I hope this podcast fires you the fuck up to build your confidence, to find a way to yes, to become the person who literally finds a way to yes for anything. I promise you, on this call today, this discovery call, which by the time this podcast comes out, I'm sure this woman will become a client. I only had a call with her like an hour ago, but I promise you, it's so empowering for me. Even if I never talk to this woman again, let's say she ghosts me, she's never paid me $1. I feel so proud of myself that I took a person who has been thinking about making a change and I had her deciding on that call that there was a way to yes. Like I'm over the moon that I get to do this all the time. Of course I love making money. Of course this is my business. And I do not feel bad for one fucking second. You can ask all of my clients because I literally, there is some clients that are having a hard time financially. They hire me when they're like, oh my gosh, should I be making this investment? And I tell every single one of them, and I believe this to the bottom of my core, I do not feel bad taking their money because I 100% believe from the bottom of my soul, what I do matters, what I do works. And I know for a fact when they are investing in this, they find a way to yes, they figure it out. They push themselves into their greatness. So do I feel bad? 100% no. I fucking love it because these people are so invested. I am so invested. We are helping them find a way to yes. We are helping them decide it's their turn. We are helping them build their businesses, build their confidence, build their personal confidence, figure out how to be happier, more in alignment. Like literally, this is my life. It is what I love. And I was just so put off by like one more fucking course that people are wasting their money on because they don't actually want to do the work of actually building their confidence, finding a way to yes, and knowing that they can do the thing that they want to do on this planet. And yes, sometimes it's hard to reprogram your stories, patterns, and habits. Sometimes, yes, it's hard to do something different. But my God, are you not sick and tired of saying you're going to do something? What does it take for you to get to the point that you're like, fuck it, I will figure this out and I am going to do whatever it takes to get to this point to where I no longer feel the way that I am feeling. I know for myself personally, I was 27 years old when I had my come to Jesus of like, I don't care what happens. I am no longer okay being in the situation that I'm in. And fast forward, guys, how many years is that? Almost 15 years later, I literally have the greatest life and business ever. I am obsessed with what I get to do. Even this past weekend, this woman, she was like friends of some friends, and she said something and I was like, no girl, I literally have the greatest life ever. I do not want to die anytime soon. And that is 100% the honest to God truth. Doesn't mean that everything's perfect, doesn't mean that I don't have bad days, doesn't mean that I don't want to cry sometimes, but I will damn sure bet you that I am one of the confident people that you know, because I'm willing to bet on myself. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to show up. I'm willing to repattern whatever I need to repattern. I'm willing to sell. I'm willing to do the things that most people are not willing to do. And you can do these things. You can become the confident person. You can become the person that you want to become. Like, yes, it takes work. Yes, it is doing something different that most people aren't willing to do. Do you know how many people probably, like, if you are a person who's listening to this podcast, you are a fucking unicorn in itself because most people don't even understand the power of the mind, the power of reprogramming, the power of confidence. Most people don't even understand that this is like a thing. Like most people just exist. And it's so unbelievably sad. I know a ton of these people and I'm just like, oh my God, I want to help you so bad. And I know I can help you, but like you have to help yourself first. But there's people who listen to this podcast and then there's people who are just like, I am fucking going to become one of these people. I am going to become the person who figures it the fuck out. I am going to become the person who reprograms so much shit that my family did that I no longer want to do so I can have the life, the career, the relationships, the children, the business that my family no longer had. And it doesn't mean your family's bad, but dear God, if you want something different, you're going to fucking have to do something different. And buying a course about the 5 steps to $5,000 or 5,000 people isn't fucking it unless you are willing to do whatever it takes to talk about it, to build it, to reprogram the shit, to sell it. You're going to have to do those things. And it starts with the confidence. 100%. It starts with the confidence. So I know that this was a rant podcast. I know some of you love my rants. Some of you can't fucking stand my rants and probably already turned this off. But if there's one person in your life that needs this, please, for the love of God, share this podcast with them. Share my crazy ass with them. And it is not, you're not giving away any fucking secrets because there's going to be some people who reach out to me. There's going to be some person who heard this today who is going to send me a message, 501-222-3362. And you are going to say to me, I heard your podcast. I want to become the type of person who does the fucking thing and not just thinks about the thing, because thinking doesn't do shit. Action, Taking action will actually get you a different result. And if you want to be that person, you should send me that text message 501-222-3362. We can talk about how to get you different actions, how to build your confidence, how to take different actions to get a different result. I know for a fact I can help you do these things. This is what I do. I am the best. I am selling you 150% because I want you to be the person who makes a change, not only for yourself, but maybe for your family, for your children, for your spouse, for your fucking self. Anyway, I hope you guys love today's podcast. Let me know what you think if you love these short little rants, and maybe I'll do more of them. Talk to you soon.